What if I told you there are people who hate people, but not for the reasons you think? Not because they're cruel, not because they're dangerous, and definitely not because they want to hurt anyone. Their hatred isn't loud, violent, or dramatic. It's quiet, silent, almost invisible. The kind that grows slowly, shaped by experiences the world never really saw. And maybe without realizing it, you've felt a piece of this too. Maybe you've walked into a room full of people and instantly wanted to walk right back out. Maybe you've trusted someone who turned that trust into a wound. Maybe you've looked at society and thought, why does everyone feel so exhausting? You might think this is just disliking people, but psychology says otherwise. There are 3 distinct psychological types of people who feel this way, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one you are. Before we dive in, understand this. This isn't about misanthropy, it's about emotional survival. People who say they hate people aren't cold or heartless. They're wounded, they're overwhelmed, they're exhausted by a world that asks too much and understands too little. Some are carrying memories they never healed from. Some are simply overstimulated by noise, drama, expectations, and some are disappointed by humanity in ways they never say out loud. This video isn't just an explanation, it's a mirror, a quiet place to understand yourself without judgment. So let's go inside their mind, and maybe even your own. The first type is someone I call the wounded one, the person whose relationship with people changed the moment their trust was broken. Because hatred doesn't begin with anger, it begins with a wound. For them, everything traces back to a moment they didn't see coming. A friend they relied on, a partner they opened their heart to, a family member they believed would never fail them. And yet, they did. This type didn't wake up one day and decide to hate people. It happened slowly, quietly, painfully, through a series of disappointments that taught the same lesson over and over again. When the people you trusted become the reason you don't trust anymore, you stop giving people chances. The mind does something interesting here. It starts building walls, not because it wants to push others away, but because it wants to keep you safe. It begins to generalize. If one person hurt me, another might too. If I open up again, the same thing could happen. That's emotional conditioning, a survival instinct. So these people retreat. Not into isolation, but into safety. And for many of them, that safety is found in animals. Because animals don't betray. Animals don't lie. Animals don't judge. They don't weaponize your vulnerabilities or turn your weaknesses into jokes. They simply exist with you, quietly, loyally, without asking for more than you can give. To the wounded heart, that kind of companionship feels like breathing after being underwater. And that's why, from the outside, it may look like they hate people. But if you look closer, you'll see something different. It wasn't hatred, it was self-protection. A shield built not out of anger, but out of fear. Fear of reopening a wound that never healed right. Fear of discovering that people can break you the same way twice. This isn't bitterness. It's trauma wearing armor. The second type isn't wounded by betrayal. They're exhausted by people themselves. These are the peace seekers, the ones who don't actually hate people. They just hate what being around people feels like. They don't dislike humanity. They dislike the chaos, the noise, the emotional clutter that follows it. Crowds drain them. Small talk suffocates them. Social events feel like someone slowly turning up the volume in a room where they're just trying to breathe. But here's the sad part. Society never understands this type. Instead of recognizing overstimulation or social burnout, people label them as, "Why are you so quiet? Why don't you join us? You're so distant. What's your problem?" And the peace seeker gets stuck in a cycle that feels impossible to escape. The more they withdraw to protect their energy, the more others misunderstand them. The more they are misunderstood, the more they retreat. And with every step back, a small seed of resentment grows, not because they hate people, but because people keep demanding a version of them they cannot be. Inside, there is an ongoing battle, They want calm, silence, and space. Yet the world pressures them to be louder, more social, more involved. They crave peace, not isolation, but the world mistakes peace for arrogance, or rudeness, or emotional coldness. And slowly this constant mismatch between who they are and what others expect begins to feel like rejection, even if no one says it out loud. They don't hate people. They just feel like people require too much of them, more than their mind has the capacity to give. The third type is the darkest, not because they're dangerous, but because they're done. Done with excuses, done with pretending, done with expecting good from people who consistently prove otherwise. These are the disappointed idealists, the ones who once believed in humanity and had that belief shattered, piece by piece. Their story doesn't start with hatred, it starts with hope, high expectations, a genuine belief that people are better, kinder, more sincere than they actually are. But life, slowly, repeatedly, relentlessly showed them the opposite. They saw hypocrisy where they expected honesty. They saw selfishness where they hoped for compassion. They watched people preach morals they never practiced, and loyalty that only lasted until it became inconvenient. Over time, something breaks inside them, not in a dramatic explosion of anger, but in a quiet collapse of faith. Psychology calls this moral injury, the deep resentment that forms when someone's values are violated by the very people they trusted to uphold them. This is how cynicism is born. These individuals don't avoid people for peace, like the peace seeker. They avoid people because people exhaust them, because dishonesty disgusts them, because disappointment has trained them to expect the worst, and reality keeps proving them right. They don't walk away to protect their energy. They walk away because they've seen enough. They expected better from humanity, and humanity didn't deliver. This is the strongest, most emotionally detached type. Not hateful, simply finished. Now that you've seen the three types, here's the deeper truth. None of this happens randomly. There is real psychology behind why some people pull away from others, and why that distance slowly begins to look like hatred. For some, it's emotional overstimulation. Their nervous system simply wasn't built for constant noise, expectations, and social pressure. When the world feels too loud, withdrawal becomes survival. For others, it's broken trust cycles, patterns of betrayal or disappointment that slowly teach the mind to expect pain where it once expected connection. Eventually, the brain forms a protective shortcut. People equal danger. Then there's misaligned expectations, idealists who believe too deeply, cared too much, and expected honesty in a world that often rewards the opposite. When reality doesn't match their values, resentment forms. And for many, these experiences evolve into social identity wounds, a deep sense of not fitting, not belonging, not being understood. All of this activates natural defense mechanisms. Avoidance, emotional numbing, cynicism, what looks like hatred. But here's the part most people never hear. You're not broken. Your nervous system is responding exactly as it should, based on what it's been through. This isn't hatred. It's the psychology of self-protection. Take a moment and breathe. Because here's the truth, most people never say out loud. Maybe it was never hatred. Maybe it was hurt wearing a tougher face. People don't hate people. They hate the pain people caused. The memories that still sting. The expectations that fell apart. The exhaustion that comes from trying to be understood in a world that rarely listens. Maybe you don't hate humanity at all. Maybe you're just tired of explaining yourself, tired of being misjudged, tired of giving parts of yourself to people who never knew how to hold them. And that doesn't make you cold. It makes you human. Because beneath the distance, the silence, the withdrawal, there is someone who once cared deeply and got hurt just as deeply. This isn't hatred. This is a heart that learned to protect itself. Now that you've seen all three types, I want you to look inward for a moment. Which one do you see in yourself? Are you the wounded heart who learned to protect what was once too open? The peace seeker who simply needs quiet in a world that refuses to whisper? Or the disappointed idealist who expected better from humanity and was let down? Or maybe, and this is more common than you think, you're a blend of all three. There's no right or wrong answer. Just honesty. Tell me your type in the comments. Not for the algorithm, but because you might discover someone who feels exactly like you. So before you click away, remember what this journey revealed. Maybe you were never cold. Maybe you were never distant. Maybe you were simply protecting the parts of yourself the world mishandled. Look back at everything you felt, the withdrawal, the exhaustion, the quiet resentment, and see it for what it truly was. Not hatred, but survival. And if there's one line I want you to carry with you, it's this. You never hated people. You just learned that not everyone deserves access to your energy. Let that truth stay with you. If any part of this spoke to you, share your thoughts below. Your voice matters more than you think. Someone reading your comment might realize they're not alone. And if this opened your eyes, even a little, hit subscribe. We go deeper every single day.